How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Good, good. I don't know why, like with our practice run through yesterday, we had a little bit of connection issues then, but hey, this was a lot smoother than yesterday.
It sure was. Anyway, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on. So everyone, this is Erica Courtney of the Courtney Collection. She won second place of all other cut gemstones in this year's AGTA Spectrum Awards competition. So, I guess just start right off the bat. I think everyone, at least what I've always known you for, is all of your jewelry. So I was shocked when this heart-shaped spinel came through from you because I was like, I had no idea. I mean, you're on the Gem Hall floor in our shows, so I knew you did sell loose,
Mhm.
but I just always knew you as jewelry. So tell us a little bit about your business. I know you've got, Erica Courtney Inc., and then you've got the Courtney Collection, so which I think is a little bit more loose gemstones. But just tell me a little bit about your businesses.
Well, Erica Courtney Inc. was started about 35 years ago on my
Okay.
kitchen table, like most designers I know anyway, unless they're but just fooling around and, made a little art project and there you go. It just kind of it snowballed. And the Courtney Collection was probably formed about 6 or 7 years ago, I'm just saying, where I started selling Zarite primarily.
Okay.
And then it just evolved into what it is now, which is not the biggest part of my business, but I still sell a lot of gemstones. I love
Right.
it. I mean, I love to buy gemstones, so obviously I love to sell them.
Oh, I'm sure. So Zarite. So I mean, I've only been in the industry for a little over 2 years now, but I haven't really come across that gemstone yet. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a color change diaspore.
Okay.
And it is found in Turkey, one mine in the world, and it goes from like a champagne kind of peachy color, sometimes even red, to greenish, outside.
Okay.
So it's a really cool gem. What I love about it, not that this is my favorite word, but it's a neutral gem. So you could wear it with other gems and it still looks really good. So, it's hard to wear like a couple of different colors of gemstones
Right.
when you go out, and but with this one you definitely can because it matches anything in the world.
Okay, very cool. All right, I'll
Hmm.
have to keep an eye out for Zarite then in the future because
Well,
that
you
was
can see them in my collection.
yeah. Well, I'll stop in Tucson next year.
Hmm. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, and then so then Erica Courtney Inc. was first. I feel like most people who I talk to who've gone from who have both sides of the business, like let's say like Omi, Privé,
Hmm.
like where they start usually in the gemstones. So it's interesting how you actually started in jewelry and then started going into gemstones.
Yeah, well, I was offered this opportunity and it was something I couldn't pass up because I did love the gemstone as I just thought I'd give it a try
Uh-oh.
and I really loved it.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, by all means, it sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
But then, so I know you've always been like a huge supporter of our competition and have won, many, many awards in it. So tell us about kind of like a little bit of your history with the Spectrum competition and, entering this year and maybe why a loose gemstone this year.
Well, I did enter jewelry also. I just didn't win. And I entered this gemstone. I bought this heart a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I thought I had a discussion with one of my friends who likes to recut. Sam is his name. And he said, you know what? I bet you could do something much better with this. And that was my question to him. What could I do? Could I make it look a little bit better? Not that it wasn't spectacular because it was. And you hate to cut off anything from a spinel, much less Mahenge spinel heart. You
Yep.
just hate to cut off one single solitary half a carat on something so precious. But I did, and I think it made it much more spectacular.
Yeah. Well, here, hold on. Let me pop it up real quick. Let's see. Let me flip my screen around. I've got it pulled up. And then, all right, everyone. So here is the Mahenge heart-shaped spinel that she won this year with the second place, all other cut gemstones. And it was what, 10.59 carats. So that is a honker. Not, that is a huge spinel.
And it definitely is for Mahenge. Mahenge doesn't, it's very hard to get those big guys.
Oh yeah.
Anything over 5 carats is gigantic.
Do you know what you plan to do with it next? So you've had it for a few years. You got it recut a little bit. What's up next for it?
Well, I think it has to be a ring, and it might have to live on my finger. I'm not quite sure. I say that a lot, and then somebody wants it, and I wind up selling it. But I just love this gem so much. Mahenge is one of my favorite gems. Period.
Okay. Gotcha. So we're gonna be a little selfish with I love it, unless someone really wants it.
Right. Then it's hard for me to resist to sell it. And honestly, not really because of the money, because of course that doesn't suck, but
Well,
it's really more because it's really flattering that somebody wants to buy something like that.
oh,
It's
sure.
extremely expensive, it's very rare, and you have a lot of choices. And if you're choosing me, it's very flattering. And I just want to say, winning AGTA awards is huge throughout this industry. I mean, I've heard it, not only have I said it, but I've heard so many people say that the AGTA awards are really like the Academy Awards of our industry. And I can't imagine, I can't even tell you how many people have said that. It's the biggest deal. And it's mainly because you guys make it a big deal. And it also brings awareness to designers that maybe are new, that have
Hmm.
never won, that aren't out there yet. And then they all of a sudden win an award and there they are, and I think that's wonderful. I also think it brings awareness to certain stones that maybe you are not familiar with, and now you're getting interested in as a retailer or as a designer. I just think it's an incredible opportunity when you win an AGTA award.
Yeah, and I know we, at least from AGTA, we love to hear that. But also, we've heard so many of the stories where once people started entering the competition and won a few times, how their business just really built up upon that. So
Hmm.
it's always fantastic to hear those stories, and we're so appreciative of of all the support from all the different designers and lapidaries and gem dealers across the industry.
And
Um,
we feel the same about you guys too, by the way.
well, thank you.
Very thankful.
So, speaking of Spinell that won this year, and I saw a question come through. I forget who was it on this call that was talking about, who was asking about some of the trends that are up and coming. I know from our side of things, I feel like Spinell has been exploding recently, but what are some other trends that you've noticed from your perspective?
Definitely Paraiba, because the rarer the gem, and especially these days, I mean, color is exploding these days, and
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure exactly why color is exploding. I think it's just the time. I mean, so many people don't have color in their store, and it's crazy if they don't, because it's if they're not buying it from you, I'm going to tell you something, they are buying it from somebody. It just might not be you.
Yep.
And right now, I've heard that color is up 35% in the stores, and that's just from the stores that have reported it. But everybody I know in the color business is killing it right now.
Everyone wants something unique.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
following all the trends, especially with bridal and and all across everything. So it's really helping people express their individuality. I know that.
Yeah, and color is something like you can turn people into collectors, like I have over the years, that they didn't even realize they were collectors. But when I collectors, meanwhile, it wasn't me that gave them that word. They just didn't know what they were actually doing. They were
Mm.
collecting gems. And it gives you such a great selling opportunity to say, do you have a spinel? Oh, yes, Erica, you sold me a lavender spinel. And I usually go, yeah, but you don't have Mahenge, but you don't have pink yet, but you don't have deep purple, but you don't have, and it just creates such a great opportunity for you to turn your collectors into sales all the time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hmm.
Well, that's awesome. So tell me about, this past year and what it was like for you with some of the different challenges, the lack of trade shows, which I'm so happy and so thankful that seems like the summer is going to be exploding in the industry.
Hmm.
But tell me about your past year.
Well, I'll tell you, just to be totally honest with you, the first 2 months, I thought I was going to have to kill myself. I was so miserable. I'm not used to not traveling. I couldn't stand the confinement. I'm not even going to tell you it was fun or easy or I got to rest. I don't want to rest. I love working, and it was hard
Yeah.
to stay home. And you know, I finally started doing trunk shows in June. One of my clients asked me if I would come, and I was like, absolutely. And she said, you know what? I don't know that you're going to have a good trunk show because some of your clients aren't going to be here. And I said, well, the last time you said that, we had the biggest trunk show of my entire life. So shall I stay home or shall I come? And she was like, you need to come. And it was great. And
Well,
that one was not my second biggest, but the next time I went to them last year, it was my second biggest trunk show of my life, which was at McCaskill's, by the way, in Destin, Florida, which
okay.
is a vacation destination. And it's hard to build a business in places like that. You know, your
Oh,
customers have to be there. And they have done a magnificent job in doing so. But in saying that, they were brave enough to have my first trunk show, and it was wonderful, and people were happy to get out. And some people shopped outside, by the way. I mean, I thought that was bizarre that they had never been to anything in the past months, and they came and shopped at the jewelry store outside. It was an amazing experience. A
that's
little scary for me, I'm not going to lie. It was a little
Yep.
scary, but I turned out okay, and so did everybody else. And there you go. But I also take extra special care. You
Yep.
know, I always wear my mask. I'm not cavalier at all about any of that stuff. And also not even now. I mean, I've been vaccinated, but I still wear my mask.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if not just for me, but for everybody else. Mhm.
Yeah, well, it's so great to hear the fact that you had a great trunk show, in the midst of everything, because I feel like like our industry, certain segments have been booming and haven't had like have had some of their best years too. And I know
Yeah,
I've heard
I
stories
did.
of the spectrum, but
Last year was off the chain, and this year is way better than last year already. I mean, obviously, the next couple of months, I had practically zero sales last year, so I can beat those 2 months super easy. But the first
right,
3 months have been amazing this year already.
that's awesome to hear.
Thank you. And, you know, I've heard that from a lot of people too. It's not just
Yeah.
me. I've heard a lot of people are, doing super well and reevaluating their businesses. And so am I. And
Hmm.
it's given us all a chance to think of what is serving us and what isn't, and what we should do and how we should do it. And if you can pivot a little bit, it's easy. But certain people
Yeah.
are always after, well, when it gets back to normal. Well, nothing ever comes back to the way it was. You know, it might even be better. Who knows? But, I don't wait for things to go back to anything. I get out there and do it right now.
Yep, yep. And I think this is just helping us, helping some people push into the digital sphere or evolve their businesses. Because I've heard of some great stories
Hmm.
too with how some people have really kind of gone back to that personal, one-on-one relationship with even, on the consumer side of things with their retail shops and creating a better experience. So actually, you bring up a great point, a great segue at least into what is like some sort of advice you'd like to share with some of our listeners today, whether that be, aspiring designers or just maybe anyone in the trade.
Well, I think you should always listen to other people when they're trying to help you. It doesn't mean you have to do it, but I think you should always listen to ideas, especially from younger people that work with you, because they have different ideas and they're not restricted by the same old stuff. And the way we do it is about the most dangerous words you could ever have, unless the way we do it is change. You
Right.
know, notice a lot of stores don't like change. And I mean, who does? Who wants to think of something new? But when you succeed at something new, how exciting is that?
Yeah.
When the pandemic first hit, um, I said the first thing we need to do is be on social media, like way more than we were. And we have to be very diligent, and we are. We gained tons of followers. I sold more on Instagram than I ever have, mainly to my own customers, but way more on Instagram than I ever have. And it really helped a lot. And I noticed a lot of stores and designers did not do the same. And I also noticed that some of those are complaining a lot too. It's like you can't wait for things to be your way. You have to do it the way it's going,
Yep.
or create a
Just
new.
go with the flow and
Yeah,
evolve with the times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Wait, with that. Well, that's the way we do it. That's
Yeah.
not a good plan.
Well, I'm glad that you did, you were able to go with the flow and you had the resources to, to make it work and, you made the changes necessary. Before we hop off, I want to, some of the people haven't come in when we showed your winning piece this past year. So let me flip my camera
Okay.
around again to this. So this was Erica Courtney's second place of all other cut gemstones in the 2020 AGTA Spectrum Awards competition. And it is a 10.59 carat heart-shaped pinkish red Mahenge spinel. And she did say that she's thinking about keeping it for herself early in the call if you missed it, but she said there may be an opportunity if y'all want it too. So reach out to her. It's a fantastic spinel. I know I held it. It was incredible. And that actually brings up one more point before we hop off is that hearts were incredible around the competition. I think yours might have been the only one that won an award, but there was at least 6 other pieces or like entries into the competition where people were putting in like some heart what are they pairs and some heart jewelry, and I think like this past year everyone was really on that kind of like hope for a better, like really looking for hope and love over this past year, which was really interesting to see because I know we had never received that many heart-shaped pieces in the past year. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm very into hearts right now. I think a lot of
You are.
people are, and I'm getting asked for hearts a lot. I think
Are you?
it's unusual. It's never been really asked for as much as it is now.
Interesting. I wonder what's really causing it.
Because most people don't like hearts, and I mean, they're not my favorite shape either, but the way I do it, I feel like they're not so prissy, they do have a little bit of edge. I mean,
Uh-oh.
I think they just want pretty.
Yes, I agree.
Hmm.
Well, Erica, thank you so much for coming on again. This is Erica Courtney of the Courtney Collection. Also, she has Erica Courtney Inc., which is her jewelry lines. But thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for all of your support in our competition over the years. We can't wait to see what you have in the 2021 competition this next year.
Thank you. I can't wait either. I
But yeah,
think you're gonna love it, but you're not a judge, so.
I am not, but I judge everything on my own as I'm going through and unwrapping them, but it doesn't count towards the awards.
No.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and everyone who popped on, thank you for listening and watching and tuning in. Yeah, we'll be on next week, and thank you for tuning in.
Okay, thank you guys. All right,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Erica.
And thank you for the award again.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye now.